Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So over the past couple of days, I've attended a couple of interviews for the medical assistant position, and I've gathered most of the common questions that all of these companies asked me when I attended the interview. So with these questions, you guys can be well prepared for your interview and ace it to get that position on the spot. So by attending these past couple of interviews, I've made a concise list of 11 common questions that I was asked. I ended up getting an offer letter for both of these positions early this morning, so these questions are legit. So don't worry guys, I got your backs. Let's get into it. So first off, they're gonna ask you some basic general questions like your name, your date of birth, the things on your resume, if you wanna work part-time, full-time, PRN. All right, after she covered the basic information, that's when we actually dove into the questions. So question number one is, what is something that you have accomplished that you're most proud of? So for me, I talked about how I got a full scholarship to play at 𝗙𝗂𝗨𝗏, which is a Division I school. I also talked about all the hard work I had to put in to get myself to that point and what all of that time spent to get that, what it taught me. All right, question number two is, what is a tough time that you went through and how did you manage / push through that? So again, I talked about my tennis season and how this past season we had some uncalled for circumstances with people getting injured or health concerns, etc. And because of all of these uncalled for circumstances, it caused us to have a smaller team. So during this tough time, we all had to support and look out for each other because we were such a small team. So working together as a team and using intrinsic factors to stay motivated really helped us end with a successful season. All right, question number three is, name a time where you were in conflict with a coworker, a teammate, or a friend, and then how you ended up resolving that. So for this, I talked about my past experience working as a cashier / customer service associate at Home Depot. So what happened when I was working at Home Depot is we had a lot of customers that wanted to check out, but we had a lack of staff at the front checking people out. I myself was one of the people checking these customers out alongside with another coworker. So I talked about how this other coworker was not really taking on the role and responsibility that they were supposed to, and I was the main one checking these people out. Now, I could have used anger or conflict or gotten visibly upset at the person and told them to, take more customers or whatever. But instead, I stayed calm, let them know about the situation, told them how their role could help, and then they ended up splitting the customers with me so that we could efficiently get through the customers in a good amount of time. All right, question number four. If you find yourself getting behind on the tasks in a workplace or wherever, how are you going to bounce back and get back on track? So for this question, I used my experience about working at Shake Shack to answer them. So I basically talked about how I was the only person working at the ice cream station or the custard station when the machine decided to break down. We were already behind on so many orders, and it was very overwhelming to be in that position. So the first thing I did was I recognized the situation and I realized that I had to call the manager to let them know about the situation. So I called the manager to let her know that the ice cream machine was broken, and while she took care of it, I decided to aid my other coworkers in completing their tasks so that we could efficiently get back on track in all other areas if we weren't able to do so for the custard section. And then when the machine decided to start back up, I immediately got on the tasks and got help from my coworkers as they chimed in to help me complete the duties that we were behind on. All right, question number five is, what role do you think medical assistants play in the success of a company? Or how important do you think medical assistants are in the success of a company? So medical assistants are very important. They're usually the first people that patients are meeting when they come into these facilities. Whether they're distraught, injured, or whatever the reason may be, they are looking to medical assistants to direct them to what the next steps are so that they can heal properly. The medical assistant will set the tone for the whole duration of the patient's visit. A poor interaction can make the patient feel uncomfortable or unwelcome, which can result in the patient not coming back to the company, declining in the success of the company. The medical assistant's tone and quality of communication can reflect on the company as a whole. All right, question number 6 is, what is most fulfilling to you about working in this type of setting? Whether it's an urgent care setting, a hospital setting, a physician's office, etc. So I talked about how I really value patient interaction. I really like helping people and interacting with people. I like to use my knowledge and my abilities to see patients grow throughout their visit. I also talked about how I've always loved science and always wanted to work in the medical field. And I also talked about how previously I've always worked in customer service job settings because that's what I find most fulfilling. All right, question number 7, which I kind of felt was like a trick question, because she asked me what I find least fulfilling or what I don't like about working in the medical field. And personally, I couldn't really find anything that I disliked. I like interacting with patients. I like the knowledge. I like science. I like what I'm learning, what I'm doing. I like being physically there in the office rather than being remote and stuff like that. So overall, like, this medical assistant position is what I've always wanted to do in the clinic setting. So I communicated that to her, that I couldn't really find anything that I didn't like about working as a medical assistant. All right, question number 8 is, how would your past teachers, coaches, or mentors describe you? So some of the things that I talked about is that how I am open to change, compassionate, hardworking, and how once I set my mind to something, I don't give up, and how I'm able to be a leader when it is necessary. All right, question number 9 is, how would your past manager describe you? So some of the things that I said is, I love what I do. I'm also very flexible when it comes to picking up shifts, or if there is an employee that is needed last minute, I'm able to step up and take that role. I also said how I'm very energetic when assisting others because I love what I do, and how I complete my duties to the fullest extent. All right, question number 10 is, how would you describe yourself? So we talked about your coaches, we talked about your teachers, we talked about your employer, but how would you describe yourself? And she said basically like, why you? You're basically telling them why you over everyone else that they are interviewing. So some of the things that I talked about was my past work experience and being a D1 athlete, what that has taught me. It has taught me time management. It has taught me working with groups, working under pressure, working for long periods of time, which especially comes in handy when working long shifts because MAs are required to work between 8 to 12-hour shifts. And I also talked about how I am very open to constructive criticism and I make changes pretty quickly. All right, question number 11, which is the last question. She asked me to rate my computer skills on a scale of 1 to 5. So I told her 4 just because I'm not really familiar with the electronic medical records, the EMR. I haven't really worked with that yet, so that's why I gave myself a 4 instead of a 5. But otherwise, you know, us Gen Z, we're really able to maneuver our way through the internet and use all these softwares like Excel, Microsoft, Google Docs, or whatsoever. Alright guys, well that is the full list of the 11 questions that I have for you guys today that they asked me. I hope this helps and I hope this gives you an idea of what they could ask you when you go in for your interview. There are also some other things that they might ask you in reference to giving injections, if you've given them before or know how to give them, or if you've done an EKG before, or any of those kind of things. But it really depends on what kind of facility you're working for, whether it's an urgent care, a hospital, a physician's office, or whatsoever. So there are other questions that can change depending on the type of facility that you're applying for. But overall, these are the common generalized questions that they will ask you and that they asked me when I went to my interviews. Alright guys, well let me know in the comments how it goes and I'll see you in the next video.